December 13, 2025, started out like any other morning in Kerala. But by lunchtime, the entire state was rocked by a political earthquake. Vote counting for the local elections had just kicked off, and as the numbers started trickling in, it quickly became crystal clear this wasn't just any ordinary election. We saw a dramatic, statewide surge building for the opposition United Democratic Front, or UDF, while the ruling Left Democratic Front, the LDF, suddenly found itself completely on the back foot. But the absolute biggest headline, the one that sent shockwaves right across the entire political spectrum, was a historic breakthrough for the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance. Get this. They just snatched control of the Thiruvananthapuram Corporation, that's Kerala's very own capital city, right out from under the LDF. This wasn't just some small win, this was a massive statement, a moment that's absolutely going to be etched into Kerala's political history. Across nearly 1,200 local bodies, we're talking everything from tiny village councils, the Grama Panchayats, all the way up to the big municipal corporations, the voters had spoken, and boy, was their voice loud and clear. Live coverage by all the major news outlets and real-time updates from the State Election Commission sparked an absolute frenzy of searches for Election Results 2025 Kerala. Everyone was glued to their screens, eagerly tracking this unfolding drama. So, what exactly triggered this monumental shift? And what does it really mean for the future of this politically vibrant state? The results truly painted a picture of a state in transition, where traditional strongholds were seriously challenged, and completely new political narratives started popping up. The UDF, led by the Congress, wasn't just winning, folks. They were absolutely dominating, signaling a powerful resurgence, a real comeback story. Meanwhile, the LDF, who had a pretty comfortable majority in the 2020 local body polls, was now facing a serious reckoning, losing ground they literally thought no one could ever touch. So, the stage was officially set for a brand new chapter in Kerala's political story, one defined by some truly unexpected victories and, let's be honest, some pretty significant defeats. Alright, so the United Democratic Front, or UDF, absolutely crushed it in the 2025 local elections, making a huge comeback across both rural and urban Kerala. They came out on top, not just by a little, but really winning big in 4 out of 6 municipal corporations. And get this, they took back key cities like Kollam, Kochi, Thrissur, and Kannur, all places the LDF had control of back in 2020. But their winning streak didn't stop there. They also grabbed a clear majority in a bunch of municipalities and hundreds of Grama Panchayats. When you dig into the numbers, the UDF's vote share was sitting at roughly 37.9%, which means they're now running about 321 Grama Panchayats, 38 block panchayats, 3 district panchayats, and 41 municipalities. Talk about a complete flip from 2020, when the LDF was way out in front in these local bodies. They really shone in places like Ernakulam, Alappuzha, Malappuram, Kottayam, and parts of Palakkad. Plus they picked up a lot of steam again in Pathanamthitta and Idukki. And in Thrissur, the UDF pulled off an incredible comeback, snagging 33 out of 56 divisions and really cutting down the LDF's numbers to just 11, with the NDA getting 8. This big win wasn't by chance, it shows they really worked hard to tune into what local people cared about and got folks out to vote. You could definitely feel the buzz within the UDF camp, with Congress spokesperson Shama Mohammed calling the results fantastic, and pretty confident the party will be back in charge with a massive majority in the next assembly election. So, the UDF's triumph here really signals a big change in how people are feeling, showing they can totally connect with voters and shake things up at the local level. So, while the UDF was all smiles and celebrating, the ruling Left Democratic Front, the LDF, took a major hit, and it clearly stung. Now, the LDF, remember them? They were riding high in the 2020 local body polls, controlling most panchayats, municipalities, and a whopping 5 out of 6 corporations back then. But this time around, their luck took a serious nosedive. In some really important city areas, they actually lost about half their seats compared to last time around. That's a pretty clear sign that voter loyalties are shifting. The only silver lining for the LDF, out of those 6 corporations, was that they managed to hang on to Kozhikode, and even that was after a seriously tough fight from both the UDF and the NDA. This losing streak was really noticeable in places that have always been LDF strongholds, leaving party leaders scratching their heads about what this all means. Even the KCM chairman, Jose K. Mani, whose party is a really key player in the LDF, he actually came out and admitted defeat in places like Pala municipality, which has been a KCM stronghold for ages. He's promised a thorough analysis of these losses, saying they really need to figure out what exactly went wrong. But while the LDF was busy trying to figure out what hit them, the BJP-led National Democratic Alliance, the NDA, was actually busy making history. The biggest thing for them? A totally unprecedented win in the Thiruvananthapuram Corporation, yep, the state capital. This wasn't just a win, it was monumental. They actually kicked the LDF out of a corporation they'd held onto for ages, and get this. It's the very first time the NDA has ever snagged such a major urban body in Kerala. But it wasn't just the capital. The NDA also managed to hold onto Palakkad municipality and pick up a win in Tripunithura municipality. Plus, they made some serious inroads in several other urban wards, especially within Thiruvananthapuram city in areas like Nemam, Melamkode, Manakad, and Srikantaswaram. These wins really highlight that the NDA is building a stronger presence in Kerala's political scene, and they're starting to really shake up that old two-horse race between the UDF and the LDF. When we look at the results for each corporation, it really painted a clear picture of how things shifted in this election. The UDF, meanwhile, had some massive wins in Kollam, Kochi, Thrissur, and Kannur corporations, basically snatching back these really important urban centers that the LDF had been holding onto. In Thrissur, the UDF's comeback was super dramatic, as they grabbed 33 out of 56 divisions, leaving the LDF with just 11 and the NDA with 8. That really showed a massive swing in how people felt, definitely leaning towards the Congress-led alliance. Meanwhile, the LDF did manage to hang on to Kozhikode Corporation, their only win out of the 6. Which just goes to show they still have some support there, even if it's not as strong as it used to be. But honestly, everyone's eyes were really on Thiruvananthapuram Corporation, especially with the NDA's historic win that totally made waves across the state. Beyond the big numbers, we also saw some really compelling personal stories coming out of this election, highlighting just how much was at stake for individuals. In Thiruvananthapuram, the UDF's mayoral candidate and former MLA, K.S. Sabaranathan, managed to snag a victory from the Kaudiyar ward, which was a huge win for their alliance. Then there's the amazing story of Vaishna Suresh, who, after a legal fight just to get her name on the ballot, actually triumphed in the Mutthada ward with a pretty solid lead of 393 votes. These individual wins really highlighted all the hard work on the ground and the strong, direct connections these candidates built with the people they represent. And Jose K. Mani from the LDF publicly admitting defeat in Pala municipality, a place they usually dominate, really hammered home just how tough things were getting for the LDF. These results aren't just about which party won, they really show what local communities are hoping for and what's bothering them, ultimately shaping how their immediate government functions and their day-to-day lives. So, this whole complex game of local politics, something we often overlook, is now front and center, really showing us what makes Kerala tick. The 2025 Kerala local election results aren't just about who's running things locally anymore. They actually signal a huge shakeup in the state's political landscape, and that has some serious implications for the next state assembly elections. The UDF really surged across the state, and then you've got the NDA making a historic breakthrough in Thiruvananthapuram. Together, these have completely changed the political game. The LDF, who honestly seemed pretty unbeatable at the local level for a while there, now have a seriously tough job ahead. They need to take a hard look at themselves and try to rebuild. This election was really a clear message from the voters about local development, how welfare programs were being delivered, and just the day-to-day running of things. Areas where the LDF had actually been pretty strong before. When voters decided to put the UDF in charge of hundreds of local village councils and most of the block councils, that directly impacts local development money and welfare programs. Basically, the Congress-led alliance is now calling the shots. The Kerala State Election Commission was really key in handling the two-phase voting on December 9th and 11th, and then counting all the votes. Their official website actually became the go-to spot for live results, ward by ward. As all the parties go through these detailed numbers, one thing is crystal clear. Kerala's political landscape is definitely changing. The UDF's newfound strength makes them a really serious contender for the next assembly elections, and they're riding high after winning back control of so many cities and villages. And the NDA, by getting a foothold in the capital city, which is a huge symbolic win for them, well, that hints they could be looking to expand even more. This election hasn't just changed who's in charge locally, it's also paved the way for a much more competitive and unpredictable political scene in Kerala moving forward. The next few months are definitely going to see a lot of intense planning as each alliance tries to lock in their wins and figure out their losses, and they're all eyeing that ultimate prize, taking control of the state assembly.